psychic goddess Erika, and today was a special request topic. A few weeks or so ago, maybe about a month or so ago now, I lost track of time. Somebody commented in one of my other YouTube videos and asked that I do a video on how to find yourself, something along those lines. I don't know if those were the exact words she used, but basically that's what she was asking about. It was actually on my sleep paralysis video, I believe. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about that. While you're here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as that alert, the bell icon, the notification button, so you know when I post new content. And don't forget to like, comment, and share my videos if you enjoy my content so that the YouTube algorithm picks it up and shares it with more people that need to hear these messages. Also, check out my new earrings, Native American beaded earrings. As well as if you would like to book a personal reading with me, personal psychic reading with me, the information on where you can go to do that is going to be below in the description. Follow me on Instagram, that is psychicgoddesserika, at psychicgoddesserika, Erika with a K, E-R-I-K-A. So let's get into this topic. Now, to be very transparent and honest with you guys, I don't fully know how to answer this question. And the reason being is this is such a unique and customized situation, journey, evolution for every person individually. So what works for me and what resonates with me may not be the same for you. So, finding yourself and knowing who you are is not a one size fits all journey or evolution. So, hopefully some of what I say may resonate with you. And if it doesn't, that's completely okay, because again, everyone's different. Everyone's way and version of discovering who they are and what's right for them is extremely different. So where I would start is a lot of the time, and I've noticed that a lot of the time when people feel like they don't know who they are, can't find themselves, is when they've been dealing with a lot of disappointing or unhealthy relationships or failed relationships or disappointing or unhealthy work dynamics, careers, etc. And so there's always this energy of having to start over a lot of the times in those situations. Or maybe that's not the case for you and you just constantly feel like you're on your own or nobody really understands you. And that could also be where you are too. But there's actually a beautiful thing in the lost place, is what I'll call it. When you're in this feeling of being lost and not knowing who you are, this allows you to kind of be still, to move slowly, to be on pause and take things one step, one day at a time, and meet yourself all over again, as if you were looking at yourself almost from the outside and getting to know you. Ask yourself some of the questions that you would really, really want to know about somebody you're interested in any way. To really get to know that person on a deep level, start asking yourself those kinds of questions. And also think back to childhood, before how others view you, other than like your parents or something, when it didn't really matter to you, you didn't really think about or didn't really care about how others viewed you. Kids have such this genuine, authentic, carefree, keep it real, truth be told energy, inspiration, exploration, exciting energy, and not being afraid to try new things. So try to put yourself back into like your inner child energy to think about what excites you. And you can start with what excited you as a child. What made you happy? What were you fully invested in? And kind of start there, because you will probably notice that throughout your life, maybe not the exact same thing in or exact same form, you will see that your interest in the things that matter to you still resonate to some degree to what excited you as a child. Like for me, for example, it was animals, it was dancing, it was music, it was always wanting to help others, wanting to care for others. And then throughout my life, that came out to play in different levels. You know, I still danced for a long time. There was a while I was in a professional indigenous dance company, and I was on several different hip hop crews, dance crews throughout my life. And then as I went through my awakening, I tapped into more of my psychic ability, my spiritual side, which led me to my journey of knowing how I was a psychic empath, and then helping others, which is what you see me doing today. So by going back to the things that excite you, even from childhood and then over time, because you know you are going to change and evolve, new interests will come in, or other ones will fade out. You know, think back to what makes you happy. That if there was no one else involved and you would still do it on your own, what makes you happy, what excites you, and that is going to help to start you to understand a bit of what your purpose is here in this lifetime, why you're here, what you came here to do, and what your role is in this lifetime. I would also say looking into what makes you happy that is not tied to earning somebody else's love, and it's not tied to earning somebody else's validation or for them to choose you. I mean, of course, if you're in something like, for example, a dance competition or a music competition, that's a completely different thing because you're in it for the creative, the artistic, expressive side. But I'm talking about like not doing something specifically to catch an individual's attention, to validate you and make you feel better at yourself. What makes you happy that has nothing to do with the opinions of others, point blank, period. Another thing I would say is take some time to reflect on and understand what are your triggers, your patterns, and your phobias. I'm gonna start with phobias first. So, and triggers can be tied into all of these things. So I was having a conversation with a friend. We went on a hike, and if you're watching this, you know who you are. I love you. We went on a hike, and I was not aware at the time of how strong her fear of heights was. And we were very high up, beautiful scenery, but she's the kind of person who just powers through. She doesn't give up easily, and she likes to face her fears. So she did it, and I was so proud of her. But when we were talking, you know, we ended up talking about fears and phobias, and then she made the connection of how our phobias and what we're afraid of says so much about our personalities. So if you can think about what are your fears and what are your phobias, it's gonna start to give you information about your individual personality. For example, for me, I went caving one time. I think it was in like middle school, and I loved being in the cave, but even then my hips were a little bit bigger than a lot of the people there, and we were going through the cave and I felt stuck. And that was the first time I realized that I do not like the claustrophobic feeling. I do not like feeling like I'm stuck, like I can't move, like I don't have freedom to go where I want to go or do as I please or shift or adjust to my own choosing. And so then I realized over time as an adult, I hate feeling stuck. Freedom is so important to me. Peace is so important to me. Even to the point that like I really don't like appointments. I really don't like this is why I no longer work for anybody else, because I hate having to feel like I have to be in this place for this amount of time on this schedule, etc., etc. So that phobia of feeling stuck translates into my personality of the fact that I don't like feeling stuck anywhere. Period. I like freedom. I like choice. I like to be able to flow. So when you look into your phobias and your fears, you will begin to realize it's going to start to tell you about your personality. And like for her fear of falling and of heights, you know, for her being successful, being on top, you know, being rewarded for her intelligence and all the work that she does is really important. So her fear of falling and going back down to places where she felt like she was in rock bottom before in life, in other experiences in life, you know, that she now realizes that phobia translates into her personality overall and in general. So those are just some examples of what I mean. The other thing was know your patterns. So if you notice that there's certain things in your life that you keep seeing the same pattern and getting the same results. So one of them could be, for example, you know, a lot of the things people mostly worry about are love and money, right? but I'm going to use love as the example for this. Money, career can also apply as well. But if you notice that you keep ending up in relationships or being involved in intimate connections, even if it's friendships that continue to hurt you or don't go the way you hope, or they fail, or they're toxic, or you find yourself always being the one giving the most and not getting everything back. This is a pattern, and you may even see it translate into different areas of your life, into your romantic relationships, into your friendships, into your family, even into work and coworkers, and just things you do for people overall that drain you. This is just an example. Yours may be a completely different thing, but notice your patterns, because you may want to say, oh, well, I didn't choose these things. It's not my fault that that person was a crap person and they did this to me. However, to some degree, yes, they were that, but also you have to take accountability for the fact that you continue to allow yourself to be a part of that story. You continue to allow yourself to be connected to that person or that energy or that environment. And so in that regard, the patterns, the common denominator, if I said that right, did I say that right? is you. The narrative that is continuing to create this dynamic is you. So, by noticing your patterns in whatever way that's not working, you're gonna have to get really real and honest with yourself about, where did this pattern start? Why do you continue to look for validation or to be chosen or for other people, or to get, or to gain recognition, who just don't give you the same level of energy that you're giving them? So in that place, you have to take the accountability at some point that some of the hurt that you've been through is also because of you, because you chose to be there and because you chose to continue to give it chances over and over and over. And this is why you're here, though. So no judgment. This is why you're here. And I've been there so many times, but this is why you're here. This is why getting to know yourself, finding yourself, is going to help you in the future to no longer make the same mistakes of falling into the same unhealthy patterns, so that you can heal it and manifest better for yourself. So notice your patterns and notice your triggers. Notice the things that get you really into all the feels, like all of the emotions that are upsetting to you. What are those things that trigger you? Like for me, whenever somebody says something that makes me feel like I'm not thinking for myself, or that I'm not capable of taking care of myself, and I'll give an example. Somebody in my past used to always say, well, figure it out, you're a big girl, you're an adult. So now if anybody says that to me, it puts me back into that place of where that person would make me feel stupid, would make me feel belittled, would make me feel like I wasn't capable, or that they were higher than me. So even though if somebody says anything in that kind of a fashion, even if it's not those exact words, that makes me feel that same vibration, it's a trigger. And then I go back to that place and I get upset. And so you have to understand and know your triggers to, again, understand where that root is, to heal it, to release it, make friends with it, I'd say, because your shadow side of yourself also is part of who you are in your story, and it makes you like a whole person, because nobody is 100% light all the time. There's dualities, there's balance. But and understanding it, you can find the balance, and you can find the healthy middle ground of understanding who you are and what makes you you and what's your story. Another thing I would say is to look into what are your generational curses. So and I'll do a video on this another day at some point, but by generational curses, what I mean by that is, what do you see, what unhealthy patterns do you see your family doing and passing down generation to generation? Because generational curses, they can stop with you. They can be broken with you, so that doesn't continue to get passed down to your kids or family to come moving forward. So I'll give an example. Like for my family, I noticed that the women were always getting stuck in codependent relationships, codependent, unhealthy, toxic relationships. Most of the women in my family are empaths, intuitive, psychic empaths, and continue to be in relationships with narcissists, myself included, for a long period of time before that broke and before I found my vibrational match of a healthy relationship that I'm in now. Thank Goddess. But yeah, so the generational curse that I see, because as a child and your upbringing, you know, the environment you're in, you're going to soak up that energy. So seeing this pattern of codependent, toxic relationships, I've took that on. And then it took me a while to break that. And it took me a while to be the one to decide, this stops here, this stops with me. I'm not continuing this into the next generation. I'm either going to be alone or I'm going to have a healthy, balanced connection that I deserve. And once I decided that, my person came in. So think about, what is the generational curse for you that needs to be broken, you know? And I would say that could fall into addiction as well, like the addiction of, you know, falling in love with the idea of love instead of not seeing what actually is love, if that makes sense. Like I would say that was definitely one of the generational curses that I've seen with the females in my family. And then even with some of the men in my family, with them, they need to find their own healing of breaking whatever selfish, narcissistic vibrations that came from their generational curses. You know what I mean? And I love my family, and I'm not saying that everyone in it is this way. I'm just giving some examples. But that's the generational curse that I now have broken moving forward. So think about what is yours. Maybe it's another form of addiction or substance issues or you know, things like that. What is your generational curse? Or maybe it's this idea of poverty, a poverty mindset. Maybe that's your generational curse, and that maybe that needs to be broken. And in understanding that, that's also going to help you to find yourself and to understand where these shadow sides come from, so that you can heal it, move on, manifest better, and break the generational curse for yourself now and for others to come in your bloodline. The next thing I would say is to figure out what is your belief system. And for this, I would say 100% do research, try all kinds of different things to figure out what resonates with you and what fits for you. Because a lot of the time people just continue to practice a belief system, whether it's religious or spiritual or having to do with, you know, worldview, world issues, those kinds of dynamics. You just go with it because that's what's always been done. Like, you know, instead of actually taking the time to think, do you actually agree with these things? Do they actually feel like they make sense to you? Do they really resonate with you? You just kind of go with it because that's what was taught to you. That's how it's always been done. And so to get to know yourself and to find yourself, you really need to understand what else is out there, what other belief systems are out there in the world. And that requires doing your own research. So I encourage you to find out all different things, look into all different things, and really see what speaks to your heart and what speaks to your spirit, because what spoke to your family and worked for them in that generation may not be what works for you. And what speaks to me may not be what works for you. So in order to do that, you have to explore, you have to try new things. Now, if what your family or what was passed down to you in belief system truly does resonate with you in your spirit and your soul, then continue it. But it doesn't help, it doesn't hurt to see what else is out there so you can understand the perspective of other human beings and other viewpoints, because there's learning in everything. There's learning in all different sides and all different dynamics. So another part of finding out who you are is understanding, what do you actually believe, not just going along with the crowd, and not just always feeding into what's always been done just because that's how it was. Also, know what are your insecurities. Know your insecurities and understanding the emotions that are connected to them, the memories, the root causes, how it makes you feel, why it makes you feel that way from the beginning of time and how it played out over your life. Know your insecurities, because that way you have the ability to take power over them. That way they do not control you. You can notice them, you can honor them and understand them, but you don't no longer let them take power over you. You take power over the insecurities and control them. Take some time to figure out what are your personal goals. What do you want out of life? Okay? You know, where do you want to see your life going? Take some time to do that. And to do that, there may be a level of solitude required. There may be a level of isolation required. You know, again, this is going to be different for everyone, but for me, I know that when I was in that period of life that I was still trying to find myself, I noticed that I was easily influenced by others, especially if they had more of like a strong or dominant personality as an empath, and I already naturally soak in other people's energy. So there were times in my past that it was hard to figure out, okay, is this me or am I just taking on their energy? So by spending time alone, by isolating yourself a little bit more, that is when you really have the chance to get to know you, to ask yourself the questions needed, the hard questions that if you were getting to know somebody else, like for example, you were dating, or for example, you were considering hiring for a business that you created that is your everything. What are those questions? What do you need to know about that person and who they are? Ask yourself those questions, those hard-hitting questions. And you can do that when you are taking space away from the influence of the world or what you are being fed subconsciously through other people, through the media, through social media, etc. So yeah, spend some time getting to know what are your goals, what matters to you, because what matters to you and what fills your cup may not be the same as other people. Like, you know, if you want to be the person who is a stay-at-home wife or husband who raises the kids, or who works from home, then do so. Or if you want to be the person that wants to be a CEO of a company that you created or that you worked your way up to do so, and maybe staying at home is not your jam, then do so. Figure out what is for you. Also spend some time thinking about what makes you feel free. What makes you feel free and at peace? Like for me, not having to stick to anyone else's schedule is mine. Creating my day myself and catering it and customizing it to how I want to flow and the moods and emotions that I'm feeling, that gives me peace. That makes me free. Yours may be something different. So figure out what makes you feel free, what makes you feel at peace for you and yourself. That's also going to help you get to know who you are and to find yourself, the things that bring you peace. You know, so maybe what brings you peace is listening to music. Maybe what brings you peace is, and making you feel free, is eating a good meal, having some wine, and watching a comedy. You know, maybe your version of freedom and peace is climbing a mountain or or riding a motorcycle. Whatever it is for you, think about that. That's also going to get to know who you are and find yourself, and then spend more time doing those things. The other thing you want to do is ask yourself, do you let others define you? Do you let others define who you are? Because once you really, and sorry if you hear background noise outside, there's always noise outside. Once you really know who you are, what others peoples have to say, their opinions about who you are will not matter anymore. You will not let them define you or tell you who you are. Okay? So if you're letting others define you and explain to you how you are, then that is definitely a red flag. And I know in the past I've had people, narcissistic people in my life, that thought they knew me better than I knew me, or they thought they knew what was good for me, or they always found ways to humble me quickly. And what you may notice is that as you step into your true self, as you really get to know who you are, if you notice that the people in your life and around you are changing, like if you notice that they're getting upset or that they are just shifting for the negative somehow, if they're uncomfortable with your level up and your change, the more you step into your power, the more you step into your true self, then let those people go. They are not for you. Okay? Those are typically the kind of people that are manipulators. They are typically the kind of people that like to surround themselves with people who feel lost so that they feel like they have a purpose by feeling like they're fixing you, or by feeling like they can control you and manipulate you, because they have their own insecurities, especially if they're narcissistic. Narcissistic people are very insecure. No matter how much they try to make you feel like they've got it all together, or that they're powerful, or that they're confident, they're very insecure, because their insecurity lies in needing to feel like they are important. So that is why they are always looking to surround themselves with people that they feel like they have to fix. And so once you get to know yourself and you find yourself, and you are so beyond feeling like somebody has to fix you, if you notice that they're always creating some sort of issue with you, get out of that situation immediately, because that is showing you their true colors, and they're not meant to be in your life moving forward. Now, they did serve a purpose in the journey of you like finding yourself and understanding, but at the same time, they don't need to move forward with you. So ask yourself, do you let other people define who you are? And most likely, if you're here watching this, then you may to some degree, because you're still trying to find yourself. That's why you're here. But at the same time, once you fully are in that place of knowing who you are and finding yourself, trust me when I say, you will not care what other people have to say. Their words will not hurt you anymore, because you will understand that other people are just a product of their own environments, and that's their issue. It's not your issue. Like for me, for example, too, like I used to care so much what other people think. I do not now. If I feel like wearing purple hair today, if I feel like wearing my natural hair today and then purple hair lace front tomorrow, I'm gonna do it. And I don't care, what people think about it, what their assumption is about it. It feels good to me. So do what feels good to you. In summary, if you finally feel happy and at home and confident in your own skin, and the people around you are changing up on you and you're seeing it, let them go. Because new and better people, new and better connections, and I say better in the way of a vibrational match for where you are now, will come into the picture, that are more in alignment with who you are now that you found yourself, your true authentic self. New people will come and replace those people that left, and that is okay. So if you are finally happy in your own skin and who you are, and they start to change up on you, and they keep trying to create problems or trying to find something wrong, or maybe feel like trying to tell you that there's something wrong with you, even though there's not, that's their issue, and you're seeing their true colors. So get away from that. So I hope this video was helpful. Please feel free to share any other comments or tips that you may have found in your journey. Put it below so it can help out others, and it can also help out me, because I feel like this is an ongoing journey. It doesn't really stop throughout life. We're always changing, evolving. Nobody is ever perfect, and there's always room for growth. So I hope that you enjoyed this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.